It's a fact you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The Working Wing, the podcast where every week we watch some episodes of The West Wing and break them down from our own unique working leftist perspective. My name is Tim Schultz, and joining me, as always, my dear friend, longtime debate partner, and a man who also used to go to the human chess matches, but only as a piece on the board. Killian Collins is here.
All right, thank you, Tim. And that's why I always chose knight, because you always do those little hoppy moves.
Yeah, you get to hop around. It's
right.
It's a little bit more fun than being like a pawn.
Yeah, I was like, that's one of those pieces that just get, given up. But I mean, it depends on how you play too. Yeah, Tim, we are here. We are here with a chess episode, which to me, as if I was a writer, that would be here's how smart I am, and here's how much I've actually invested into knowing about chess strategies.
Now you know a little bit about chess strategies, right? I think you were talking to me a couple weeks ago about some basic chess strategy.
Well, we were on that because we had been talking about the Queen's Gambit, and
yes, that's right.
And you were saying that chess was more complicated, and I had not watched Queen's Gambit, and I am coming from a pretty amateur perspective. I've never, I wouldn't consider I know people that are, I don't know them personally, but I know what a good chess player is. I am not that. But I am aware that I know what the Sicilian strategy is as a start, but it's also people, it's like a goal, and then people vary off of that. And plus, the beginning opening moves of chess, it's easy to name all those because there's only so many opening moves you get. It gets way more complicated when you get to mid game.
I think they kind of joke about it here, where Toby moves his pawn, and the president is like, "Oh, the Giusapo maneuver."
Yes,
I just moved the fucking pawn.
Right. That's exactly what I think too. Is it's are you gonna move the pawn in front of the queen or in front of the king instead, and I let your queen have an opportunity to go diagonal? But that's the thing. Other real chess players would actually know how to school me, and know how I think. I only have fun playing with friends and talking shit. I'm more of a poker player than anything. But moving on, I don't think we'll be getting any West Wing poker episodes anytime soon. If only. I could be surprised.
Yeah, you could be surprised.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. Well, the name of this episode was Hartfield's Landing. And I was thinking that, okay, so this must be about another Black Hawk Down military worship episode. That's what I was thinking this was. I was wrong.
Well, it is kind of a military worship episode in the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
Episode, anyways.
Yeah. It totally is. I was thinking more in terms of Wounded Knee, or Wounded Knee isn't really representative. It's not a hurrah story for the military industrial complex, but I was thinking something where it's Black Hawk Down or something, just something that's realized as an event that happened that is meant to be a propaganda piece to be nice to the military. Any of that type of stuff, not criticize them as much. Well, we start off with the president coming outside to the press when he's leaving Air Force One to a press frenzy, and of course he is doing his I look at me, I'm a East Coast nerd, and he's just talking about chess history. He is just lecturing the press on a history lesson, which. The funny thing is, I feel like you and I, Tim, would love that.
We would love that, yeah. But I do think it would also just be generally exhausting to cover the Bartlett administration as a White House school reporter, because it's fucking midnight, and you want to just write your headline and go home.
Yeah, you just want to write
instead of just giving you a quick sound bite about the Prime Minister of India, you're getting a whole fucking lecture
Right. When you just want to know about, hey, how is Joe at home going to be concerned about this?
Yeah.
How is Scarlett down down at the
Just give me
mill?
a headline. Just that cashmere headline you dropped. That's great. We can type that up and be done. But no, we have to hear about the Mughal court
And how they used human chess pieces
Yeah,
which sounds like wizard's chess to me.
that does. Well, I mean, J.K. Rowling never had any original ideas, so
No. I mean, yeah. Leo takes a status report from CJ. Apparently, Leo says he needs the president because China's is like a growing concern. Oh, I wonder what this is about.
there's a standoff in the Taiwan Strait.
So Taiwan's trying to test out some American-made missiles, some U.S. Patriot missiles to kind of show off what they might do to the homeland, or to the mainland, and they want to. Leo wants to just like arm the shit out of them even more and just give them more extra munitions and toys.
I mean, they talk about, and this is true, and the same is the case for a place like Israel as well. There's a lot of these situations. There's a lot of these like places around the globe where it's just a matter of like federal law that we have to supply them with like a shit ton of weapons.
Good thing we all voted on that. You remember that? Remember that, Tim, when we had that election and decided that as a country, like average people voted on that. That was really cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, these things are just like fucking boondoggles for the military-industrial complex, and it's a problem.
Yeah, the boondoggle that's been around ever since the nuclear age, which I feel like has been a major excuse to consolidate power.
Eisenhower tried to warn us, and he was probably.
Well, we've argued about this many times, Tim. He also was fucking doing it, so it's like that cocksucker can fucking. He can roll those words right on fucking back because his actions were going otherwise. But yeah, he did have a good speech about that. I agree. I like his speech. If only he had actually, not made it so hard to undo that machine. The president is in the Situation Room with Leo, and they are going to. Next action is just sending what I think was aircraft carriers, but the Aegis destroyers are they seem to be something else. But
the Aegis destroyers are part of this arms package that they had just recently negotiated with Taiwan.
Yeah,
which we'll get there. But I just have to note it's very interesting to watch because they sit down in the Situation Room, and President Bartlett does play all of these military scenarios with like the AI mode turned on.
Yeah.
And the AI mode in this case is just Leo. Just like Leo sits down and is just like laying out exactly what they're going to do. And then the president is just like, yep, we're going to do that.
Yeah. The AI for it is a slightly racist old Vietnam veteran who really like, his experience really didn't humble him in being careful about which is it's really strange. Is it gonna have to take like a 50-year war to like humble a veteran of that to really not want to send the next generation into these quagmires and these dangerous geopolitical situations with the other major superpowers and continuing to draw the lines of the Third World War.
Right, and it is like
It's frustrating. It's frustrating
because like the way these laws are written, it's like and in like Ukraine right now, our policy is not to like defend Ukraine; it's to give Ukraine the means to defend itself, which just means an unlimited checkbook, and
it's great for Lockheed Martin.
It's great for Lockheed Martin. Like Lockheed Martin. And is doing great.
And Raytheon hasn't been doing as good as it has in past years, but they're still
ain't hurt it. They ain't hurt.
Yeah. CJ gets talked to. Leo tries to ask about like, well, what's CJ going to get in the press? To which CJ is getting hounded about, hey, can we like have like any damn answers, please? Like,
and she's just like dictating their special interest stories.
Yes.
With this Hartsfield Landing thing.
Yeah.
The tiny town in New Hampshire that votes at midnight.
Which is like funny because like for these two episodes, there's like a big theme of like educated versus folksiness. But really, all they're emphasizing, and this is true in American politics, is like this insignificant town where it's just folksy, but it's like because of just that, there's all this attention to it. And honestly, who the fuck would care that this little town votes at midnight? Like,
Well,
and
you
it's
say
counted.
that, Killian. I am actually looking right now at a front page story on NPR from February 8th, 2016, about the 3 New Hampshire towns that vote early, that vote at midnight. So this stuff does actually get some play in the press.
You know what, Tim? Let's cut off let's cut off all their federal funding, like all their federal and state funding. How about that? Like, how about that? If they want to go out with it so bad, I mean, I don't really care. But the funny thing is that like, yeah, I guess the press needs to do better. Like at these little towns, they can do whatever the fuck they want, but it's like, who gives a shit like what they're gonna do? Because like honestly, they're gonna get outvoted by like any major like metropolis or just like any area where there's more people. Any bigger areas where there's condensed people voting, like that pretty much decides what's going on in like a popular election for a state. Like, and it's almost how it is for the country. Like if it was by popular vote, like essentially people from the East Coast and West Coast and the metropolis areas would be deciding what's going on for the whole country.
Which honestly wouldn't be the worst outcome.
I mean, it depends. I mean, like they could also pass some stuff that it depends.
I've been very disillusioned with like the influence that like the Midwest and South of this country have had on like federal policy over the past 40 years.
I'm not a huge fan of the coastal some areas of coastal federal policy either. But it depends. Like I'm saying, Tim, it depends. And as we both know, politics is a strange mistress. This is always changing all the time. Makes for strange bedfellows, and lots of times to look back and go, "Yeah, I was fucking wrong about that. That did not go the way I thought it would go."
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, CJ needs a copy of the president's schedule, and she goes to Charlie for it. To which Charlie is telling her, you need to there's a sheet for it, and you need to like come and like sign in, and then bring it back and sign it out. As long as you do that, you're fine.
Which, all right, I kind of get both sides of this. On the one hand, I get what Charlie is saying about needing to keep track of paperwork. On the other hand, I've been through this, and I'm sure you have at work, where like someone gets a big bug up their ass and introduces like a new layer of bureaucracy to a workplace.
Yeah.
And you know it's kind of just bullshit and it's not going to last, but they make you jump through the hoops anyways.
Yeah, if it's more of an ego trip than anything else.
Yeah.
But honestly, with the president's schedule, I can see the justification behind it. Like I
can see where Charlie is coming from.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's like, unfortunately, it was I was kind of trying. I mean, but it's
a bigger question.
Bigger question.
At the end of the scene, CJ says to Charlie, "This anal retentive side of you is not going to help you get shit." Charlie says he does okay. Question: do you think Charlie does okay? Because he's kind of a fucking nerd who spends like 20 hours of his day inside the White House and also is like raising his sister. So like, how often is Charlie like going out there and getting laid?
Well,
is my question.
I don't think it's a matter of if he's okay in terms of frequency, like he's getting laid a lot. I don't think it would be a lot. I just think that he says he's satisfied.
Fair enough.
But the other question, Tim, the other part about this, Tim, is do you think he's fine with all those ladies because he eats the booty? Because she did mention he was anal retentive. Which is like
he eats the booty like groceries.
Which is the entire reason that this was even brought up, is so like Aaron Sorkinson could write a joke later on where these other guys talk about like, I hope that's something in her. Is that something about her?
Because she tells she hides the file. She hides his copy of the president's schedule in his filing cabinet under A for anal.
Yes. Just to have that little joke there.
Yeah, I do think this little plot line is pretty funny.
Well, for side plot lines, it's for side plot lines, I'll give it that. But it is type of an office drama type of joke.
In Donna's storyline news, she should have taken that tech startup money because Josh is forcing her to stand outside in the cold and harass New Hampshire voters.
Right. Like intimidate voters like badly, like not very well or effectively. Yeah. and Twitch, just feel bad for her. About some New Hampshire family that's going to vote that night who like was going to vote for Bartlett, but they're disappointed for him. Which is just say fuck it. That's it. Like don't try so hard to convince them because they're going to be on TV. Sam looks at the president's chess set gift. They play some chess. President's messing with him. He obviously knows. He knows his strategies. He knows. He's excited to play against these other players, like his intellectual peers. He's stoked to do this and kind of pick them off a little bit because you learn a little bit about who this person is as you learn how they play chess. Sam also desperately is on the side of wanting to defend Taiwan, and this is the law, and yeah. So
it's such a great big policy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they're going to finally have free elections now. Finally now, with our influence, they're going to have American free elections. I mean Taiwanese free elections.
Right, which I haven't know. It's like great. They can popularly elect Chiang Kai-shek's old jockstrap or whatever they can.
Right. It's only democracy when our guy gets in, when our favorites get in. Then it's democracy. Then we have Nancy Warhawk grilling the Chinese ambassador, to which the Chinese are pretty much just pointing out like, hey, you Americans like literally interfere in like everybody's internal business. Like that's literally all you fucking do. Like, and you can like stop it because like we're not trying to like, let's say arm Alaska.
Right. Exactly. And like that's also our official policy because we do so much, like so many trillions of dollars of business with China that Taiwan is a part of China. And
yes,
we also do this thing where we just also sell billions of dollars in arms to the Taiwanese while saying that like, oh, of course this isn't about, Taiwanese independence or anything.
Yeah, it's almost like when you have a landlord and they say you can't have a pet, but then like, you bring in a cat with a bazooka, like that's, and I
was wondering where you were going there.
Right. They have to just accept it because the cat's so cute, and they're getting money from you, and you have a fucking bazooka pointed at him now. So your landlord decides to get a bazooka as well, and it's just a safer situation for everyone, and you get to keep the cat there. One China is being questioned. Leo is doing the whole like, yes, the weapons are staying on like off the table. Like you can't fuck with the weapons thing. We're gonna toss your state a ton of weapons. We don't care. Things escalate. Americans won't budge. Nothing gets.
Nothing happens in this meeting.
American diplomacy. Donna asks, she's on the phone with this poor family. That's
right. Well, I mean, this like Donna comes into Josh and just casually explains why Americans lost the 2016 election, essentially, where she's just like, we fucking signed this free trade deal with Canada, and now, like everyone who worked at the big paper mill, which was like the biggest employer in this town, lost their fucking jobs, and so now everyone's way poorer under the Democrats than they were, 30 years ago.
And Josh is like literally like, okay, but like our statistics say other people like are like doing fine.
GOP is up, GDP is up. So
well, yeah, and it's like this like constant naming of these useless statistics that are just meant. It's meant to kind of like intellectually bully someone into saying that you should think that they're good though. Like I know you're not being affected by anything, but like you should think that they're good.
It's called free trade, okay? Free is in the name, dummy.
And it's nothing to do with like laissez-faire, it's free trade. It's not this French thing like laissez-faire capitalism. Yeah, no, I basically wrote down like Josh responds with essentially Bidenomics of saying
it's basic word life. It's basic Bidenomics.
Charlie's lost his D12 schedule, and he confronts TJ about it. She plays coy about it, and she tells him that she put it in his folder, A for anal.
Which and then you do get the great line between Ed and Larry of like, I don't want to know what he's gonna find in this cabinet. Do you?
Yeah, dirty office jokes. You'd all get fired today. Probably not. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't.
For a relationship like that, yeah, that's what's pretty harmful. I mean, granted, see, like Charlie did glue her phone shut. Like,
well, I mean, we'll get to it, but like later on, he basically tries to get her killed.
yeah, he does.
Then we have Bartlett and Toby.
Yep.
Playing chess, and the topic of their conversation is re-election and the Bartlett psychosis.
Yeah, which is just kind of another rehash of Toby's problem again. Of like, well, he keeps trying to bring up his father, which is like a big touchy subject for Bartlett too. But Bartlett's kind of delusional. Like, I wrote down that he's saying he's learning from his mistakes and adjusting, but I'm not sure. It looks like he's just playing chess. The president's schooling Sam on. Yeah, the president is. Meanwhile, he's like switching between games between like Toby and Sam, and he's schooling Sam on Endgame and kind of playing that game with him where he's acting impatient as less experienced chess players trying to think about their moves.
But this is also just me and Kenny playing Baldur's Gate 3, where we both take way too long to take our turns.
Yeah, it happens. Chinese meeting did not go well. Some foreign weapons. Flood the world with weapons for democracy. You got to flood the world with weapons for democracy. I mean, you can't do it. I mean, yeah, how else are you going to fight authoritarianism unless you...
unless you have your policies run by Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, dude. Because they care about democracy. CJ and Josh go and get pizza. Talk about the Hartfield landing again. I think CJ had a little voting polemic on just voting matters. Like that. Voting
matters. This is the purest form of democracy. Just 25 people in a room casting their votes.
Yeah. I know. Just more worship of this folksiness shit. Charlie glued CJ's phone together. Donna's. Donna keeps trying to explain to Josh that like her harassing the voters is not going very well, and Josh just continues to mansplain and she's telling them like, well, they think that like they don't trust the Democrats so much that they think that they're going to like privatize Social Security.
Yeah,
and Josh is responding with like, well, they're idiots. They shouldn't think that. They're idiots. They shouldn't think that. And it's like, I see his point there, but the point I'd like to make to any of these people is it's like, well, they don't. It's not a matter of if it's true or not. It's a matter of why do they believe that? Like, what got them there? Like that's what they're not like pinning.
Right.
Like,
and in this case, it's like, the president said he wouldn't rule it out. Which, I mean, they talked about that with that whole blue ribbon panel on Social Security reform.
Yes. Which is still funny thinking about it today, because it's like, we'll print money for all this other shit, but it's like, but then we're saying, but we can't afford Social Security. And it's like, well, we fucking print money. Like we literally have a fiat currency that, so like, we don't have to worry about this type of shit. And you're telling us that like, oh yeah, like one of the most successful anti-poverty programs ever, just like, just can't afford that. And at some point it's going to have to go. Well, as the country gets poorer and poorer.
I mean, I know I'm never going to get Social Security. Like, I don't know about you. I wrote off the possibility that I would ever get Social Security a long time ago.
Well, with an attitude like that, yeah. Like, if you're gonna be like, I'm just not gonna get it. Like, but it's like, no, like we should fucking get it. We've been paying into this shit. We're gonna be paying into this shit.
We should get it. We've been paying into it. But
People died for this shit, man. Like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, yeah, I'm willing to fight for that. I'm not writing that off. This fucking government, like, they fucking do this shit, man. I'll find my way out of here. God
I
damn.
mean, probably gonna have to find our way out of here because I don't think that shit's gonna be there for us.
I mean, they could fucking afford it, man. It's just a matter of like what they think we're gonna do with it. How are we gonna run it? How are we gonna run this fucking place? Gotta get different people in there. Yeah, then Josh. Oh yeah, Josh had another bad point too. He's like, oh yeah, also let him know about all the black fathers that are like that were thrown in jail for for not paying child support because yeah, our child support rates are getting paid 30% more. So just let him know that we Democrats we're doing that too. It's like cool, like more governing like Republicans. I'll let them know that. Josh. The president Toby talk Landy. The guy who taught President chess was like a genius who ended up getting stabbed in some altercation one day that was totally random.
Yeah.
Toby talks about how sometimes voters kind of go against the establishment. This is kind of where they get into that like folksy versus like educated establishment person type of thing of like having like an expert versus a non-expert.
I want to talk more about this, but I think it fits better later. I think before this scene, there's a little exchange between Leo and Josh in the hallway.
Yeah.
Where Leo's like, part of me wants to just say, fuck it, let's send the goddamn aircraft carriers into Chinese waters and like blow this whole thing up. And it's just like, goddamn, America was like very jingoistic in the months after 9/11. We were willing to just like throw our weight around against everybody.
And that's the whole thing is it's like this whole argument of like, well, like the experts know, but well, the experts aren't going to be the ones going into war. They're not going to be one paying the price about this type of shit. So that's brings some justification.
Right. Yeah. Like Leo is not on that aircraft carrier.
No, nor will he be. Yeah. Toby brings his father up. Then the tone changes for this conversation and the president.
Like, damn it. Can we have some respect?
Yeah. He cites, have some respect for the man. He's dead. And like, you don't got to talk shit. And which Toby's like, I'm just trying to like talk about the facts, just talk about like what's out here, use examples that are out here. President give orders to send the Aegis destroyers.
Well, no, all right. I have a major quibble to point with this scene, which is that Nancy tells him, "Sir, I need the order," and he doesn't actually give the fucking order. He just says the Aegis destroyers. Because the whole thing is that, like, oh, Sam's got to figure it out later. But, like, just saying the Aegis destroyers is not an exact order, which is what Nancy says she needs.
Oh, okay.
That scene makes no fucking sense. Anyways.
Okay. Good observation. Good observation, Tim. Leo tells President... the president asked Leo about like, do you think I'm like, like hitting this pitch straight? Do you think what I'm doing is? And Leo tells him, I think you're fouling the ball off. Like I don't think you're striking. I don't think that you're striking out or anything. I just think that you're fouling out. Doesn't match the pitch. CJ returns with the pizza and puts her card in, and these alarms all go off, and Secret Services completely surrounds her. And this is the part, Tim, that you were mentioning, where
Charlie was trying to get CJ fucking killed here.
Yeah.
One more wrong step, and she would have ended up with like a bullet in her head.
Yeah. Or at least like tackled, like especially after 9/11, I would figure they'd like tackle her with the pizzas.
Well, I mean, 9/11 never happened here. So
yes,
it's a little
you're right.
Crazy.
Right.
But yeah, no, these Secret Service agents somehow don't recognize the most like public figure in the administration besides the president, and B are just like totally willing to like beat the shit out of her.
Donna's phone call is not going great. She's having to like argue with them about like, well, he didn't really lie about MS. And where it's just like, yeah, like, don't just like tell them like what they think. Don't just tell them like, yeah, that's like all of these arguments are just like how you don't persuade folksy people. Like, and number one is you don't listen to them. Like, you don't listen. You act like they haven't heard everything, and like you're gonna be the scholar to educate them. But then yeah, Don's making this phone call outside that's just not going so great. Giving all these talking points that she doesn't really fucking care about. Then Josh shows up and like takes the phone from her and tells her like to fucking drop it. And just
Right.
tells
Well,
her
and he does a very bad job of trying to be like cool and relatable.
like, right, like this is once again like Josh would then later on work for the Hillary Clinton campaign in 2016 and then drink himself to death on November 6th.
Speaking of which, okay, this next scene, this is where, all right. So here's where I want to start talking about Eli Addy.
Okay.
Eli Addy started off as a communications aide in the Clinton administration.
Okay.
Moved to work for the vice president after the 96 election. And then for the 2000 campaign, he was chief speechwriter for the Gore campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gore obviously lost in 2000. And starting in 2001, Eli Addy joined the staff of The West Wing, the TV show, as a political consultant. And I cannot ever watch this scene knowing that the guy who was literally Al Gore's chief speechwriter being like, no, sir, the way to win an election is to make it about smart or not, to make it about being a heavyweight. Sir, you're an intellectual heavyweight, and you just need to show off what an intellectual heavyweight you are, and then you'll beat this dummy politician on the other side.
Tim, do you remember the name of the guy who was Al Gore's running VP?
Joe Lieberman. It was
Joe Lieberman. I believe Joe Lieberman's ran as like an independent, but he's like a conservative independent.
Yeah. He was a Democrat. He was a Democrat at the time, switched to an independent, and I believe he caucuses with the or when he was still in the Senate, he caucused with the GOP.
Yeah. But even so, Al Gore did pick out like one of the most neocon conservative sad excuses of like a running mate that he possibly kind of like Obama
did. He absolutely did. Yeah.
And it's fun. It's funny because like, yeah, that whole intellectual, like, oh, well, you need the expert, you need the educated person to be there and the non-educated person. And it's like, well, yeah, Al Gore's VP would like also today, like right now, advocating for bombing the shit out of Iran. And it's like when they never attacked us. So it's like another like, yes, these some of these experts.
Right. Well, I mean, Gore and Clinton were also all about bombing runs in the Middle East as well.
Yeah. Like they absolutely were. Like it was kind of one of those,
including sometimes conveniently timed to distract from certain impeachment hearings. Perhaps.
Yes. Yeah, because those people in Somalia aren't going to be like they're. I mean, they're not gonna. They can't vote you out, really.
Right. But also, what a great. I mean, fucking Richard Schiff. Just what a great speech here.
Yeah. CJ and Charlie go to Leo and air their petty grievances, to which Leo says, "You got to work it out yourself.
Work it out yourself. This is done." And then CJ goes and puts her hand on her desk, and it claps. And then it's like that Key and Peele. They really did say bitch, though, on national television, but it's bad. It's saying, how long do you make people your bitch? And it coming from Alice and Janney, it does not sound good.
No. But they didn't want Charlie to actually call her a bitch. So it's like it's kind of just
CJ. Yeah, it should have been Charlie saying you're my bitch, but they couldn't do that. So
the president finishes up his chess game with Sam.
and paints a nightmarish hellscape future for America where Sam Seaborn is the president.
Yeah. Like I was gonna say
some serious like doom and gloom prophecy from Bartlett here.
I was like, well, yeah, Bartlett. I mean, like, yeah, like you've had a lot of like, issues that like should have been upfront to the American people that like you were hiding for years and years that you absolutely knew about. And this guy's issues like aren't even like it's not like the problems are even medical. It's just his behavior.
It's just his behavior. He hung out with a hooker. He's
gone off with his friend to go off and intimidate that same hooker, like for political reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he puts Sam in checkmate, which I was always wondering too. How did he and Toby's game go? Like I was kind of hoping.
We don't catch the end of that.
Yeah, I don't get to see how much of like a real chess player that the president is. Hopefully, I'll get to see how much of a poker player he is. Hopefully, I won't be too far away. But anyway, moving into episode 2. And
the conclusion to the political stalemate is that we were never planning to actually sell the AMRAAM or the Aegis destroyers.
You'll never guess who won the pony. You'll never guess. Like, hey, guess what, guys? We actually want peace, like everywhere, and that's why we're arming people and then like fanning off like.
So the sale of the destroyers was just so that they would have something to take off the table to appease the Chinese.
See, that's just like when like you threaten to break somebody's legs and then you don't do it, not because like you didn't want to break their legs, just because like that was the peaceful solution. Like they wouldn't really buy the threat until you did threaten something so heinous. Anyway, the second episode of the day is the episode 15, Dead Irish Writers.
Yes.
Starting off, we're having the president and Abby having another wonderful old couple bickering session as they're arguing about crossword puzzles and getting ready for this big first lady birthday gala that they're going to, which is like also like interesting because I've never seen like a gala thrown for like a first lady or anything like that. Like I'm not sure if this is happening for Hillary or anything back then.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Michelle ever had like a huge blow
like a gala like that. Like I would say like if because like honestly like if Hillary Clinton had like a big gala or like Jill Biden had a big gala like for her birthday, I think that would be like a big old conservative piranha tank going crazy about like how they're wasting all these resources on and time and shit on like just partying. But I mean, whatever. I guess that's why they don't really do. They just wanted to have a little fun episode that was about Abby because they realize how much she's going to be getting fucked over this.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, they have to have because they have the whole Abby committed heinous medical fraud. Hanging over them, and they've got to do something with that.
They gotta have a victim child. So Abby's kind of reluctant to even go through with all this. They're kind of wondering like, well, we won't have a good time, but we're gonna have to be in front of the press, yada yada yada. She wondered, is there gonna be fanfare? And they literally walk into trumpet fanfare as the president and the first lady come in.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, like, okay, Abby, you're having this huge gala that like everyone in Washington is invited to.
Right.
Of course, it's not going to be a relaxed little thing.
No. Right. Josh and Amy are there. Lord John Marbury is there.
Lord John Marbury is a fucking cartoon character.
He is.
It's hard to take him seriously later when he's talking to Toby.
About because the first thing he asks the first lady with
can I touch her breasts or whatever. Yeah. Oh, you have great tits, Abby. It's like
I wonder why like the Chinese and the Indians never really cared for them whenever they'd come over. Like CJ and Leo are getting ready to go, but they are still at the office. Sam's about to leave as well. Donna is apparently not allowed to go to the gala because the INS told Secret Service that she is a Canadian and she is not allowed entry, to which says he'll take care of it.
Which, I mean, it seems weird that she was never told this herself. And she also, like, she is a West Wing staffer who, like, flies on Air Force One. So, yeah, that entire thing feels very weird.
Yeah, it just seems kind of written into existence. Sam meets his old Sam gets interrupted before he goes to the gala. His old physics teacher comes in, some old real hard knocks type of thing. You know, we all know the working class physics professor that just is so passionate that he'll
honestly, I did have a physics professor who did try very hard to be like, I'm a working class type of guy.
Wow.
He assigned us chapters from Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance as like extra credit, and this is for a physics course.
I can see the practice. I mean, I can see some of
no, but like in reality, this type of guy fucking sucks because he would like it would like this was like physics is not an easy subject for a lot of people, and like it's that like this guy was weird too because he kind of was of the view that like the only way to really learn physics was to just like do problems in the book and figure it out yourself. He didn't really believe in like the act of teaching physics. So no, it's like because he was like genuinely kind of a genius at the subject, and he like taught himself, you know, college level physics, you know. So he would spend our time in class like telling stories about getting high with professors at like Youngstown in the 70s, like
because he understood physics and like he was passionate enough and like he studied it so much.
Exactly.
Like
he's like the best thing you could just go find an old physics book at a used bookstore and work the problems until you understand it. That's what I did, so that's what you all should do.
And you know, I've noticed that problem too among like other subjects where it's like I know people who are musicians who are self-taught. And their perspective is that it's like, well, no, you can teach yourself music theory, to which from their perspective, I can understand. It's like, well, you just did it. Yeah. You had a drive and you were passionate about it and you got through all this other bullshit to do it. Now, many people are not like that. Yeah. And it's not because they're fucking lazy. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. I'm not gonna lie, but it's like they just need to be taught a different way. And it's like,
and it's not unreasonable when you're paying, you know, $3,000 for a class to be taught physics that you'll actually be taught physics.
No, they're like, nah, dude, you're taking out this money from the government. We don't care what. Yeah,
exactly.
He's smart. He knows about it. If it don't rub off on you, you just don't care about it enough.
He wasn't tenured though. I don't think he lasted very long at school.
Okay, well,
like there were people who literally would just like walk out, like, you know, 20 minutes into like an hour class, and he still hadn't started talking about the problems we were working. He would just,
I'd be gone.
Yeah, they would just walk out.
I'd be gone, man. I'd be like, I'm not marching down here for this shit. I'll just read the shit out of but that's the thing. It's like I'll just read the shit out of the book then. Like, yeah, it's like if that's the way we're gonna do it. But hey, yeah. Enough about education system. I'm sure we'll get back to it. But oh yes, the working class physics professor
wants to meet with a senator about getting funding for a super collider.
Yeah, super collider, which we also like never learned about like any practical purpose. And it's really just about like, well, we want to like recreate the Big Bang and like control the environment. That's
well, I mean, honestly, no, it is the type of thing where like Sweden has the Large Hadron Collider, and they have made like serious breakthroughs in physics that could contribute to like the invention of like fusion. And these are facilities that we just don't have.
Yeah. We have, well, we gotta send all this money to Taiwan, man. Like we can't afford it. And you're not getting your Social Security though. Like
no,
you're not getting,
definitely
not getting that. Israel needs $100 billion. So like a humble 100 billion. Sam promises that he'll go talk to the senator at the gala. The physics professor says he's just gonna stay in Sam's office. Yeah. To which, like, you know, I would think, like, you know, the White House would be like, okay, so we're gonna beat you up and like kick you off onto the street.
I mean, if you and I did that, for sure.
Oh yeah. Even if it's about like something like, even if we're an expert and it is about something that's like genuinely dire, nah. we'd be kicked out like that. Leo arrives at the gala and needs to talk to Abby about her role in the election. Josh shuts down. I wrote down Josh shuts down his date Chuck in front of Amy, like his real date there, because it's like they kind of have this lovers tension that's like there of like he doesn't really respect what she like. He doesn't really respect her intellectually. I still
I have it written down of like, oh baby, you're because like he's like, it's not fair for you to demand that I'm not be sexist while you're like pressed up against me. Like that's so unfair that you're trying to get me not be a sexist jerk, and the fact that your skin feels nice is making me not want to be a sexist.
How about this, Josh?
Don't be a sexist.
Shut the fuck up. Like it's literally just that simple. Is that
just
like
shut the fuck up? Say, yeah, babe, I'll consider someone. Send me a list of women. I'll consider it. Could have subverted that entire argument right there.
Shut the fuck up. Like less is more. And I have that note later on when Bartlett has a certain line. John Marbury, John Marbury ends up getting shifted around to Toby because the president doesn't want to look at his face, and they argue about Sinn Féin being a terrorist cell, which is ridiculous because it's like, well, Sinn Féin hasn't been like, especially today.
This is why I knew we had to watch this episode, because I knew you would have very strong feelings about this subject matter.
Well, it's just when you look at Sinn Féin, and I understand this is like a couple of years after the Good Friday Agreement. Like this is what builds all that around that. But it's like, yeah, but you look at like the terrorist organization, the terrorist cell that Sinn Féin is like today. It's like, yeah, they're pretty much fucking like a light Labor Party.
Yeah,
like, it's like they ain't shit. Like, bro, it's like it's all the largely political bullshit. Sir Lord Marbury is like insistent that the Jerry Adams stand-in, which is pretty much like what they're talking about, some like nickname, but it's like it's essentially a Jerry Adams stand-in, which would make more sense. But he's saying that like, yes, this guy's a terrorist. Toby defends and says like, well, you shouldn't just label anyone a terrorist, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, but they're down the street from a bar where they can get some single malt, whiskey bourbons or something.
Some log of
scotch.
Some scotch.
Sam talks to the senator very condescendingly about the super collider.
Yeah, angry, condescending Sam is the fucking worst. And if I were the senator, I would like.
I'd piss him off too, right?
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, like you're, don't ruin my fucking good time. Because essentially, and the senator basically reveals that, like, well, on this committee, like, you know, there's anonymous, like any senator can hold up like an anonymous hold of the bill. Kind of gave away that like he was the one holding it up. Sam doesn't know how to negotiate. Donna's playing solitaire sadly in her office, and Josh brings her olives. Secret Service said that she's not a citizen. Amy is asked by Leo to Abby is asked by Leo to schedule public events with her. She doesn't really like, she's just like, can we do this some other time? Leo,
right?
I don't want to fucking do this shit. He wants to basically drag her around in like the Democratic strongholds of the North and keep her away from the South. I wonder if she's supposed to be mirroring Hillary Clinton at all with any of this. To which he just pisses her off, and then she has to goes back to her gal. The president rehearses his toast to Charlie outside over and over again, and he has this little line in here. I mean, it might be later on, but it's a little line I just don't forget. He said, well, Charlie, in my house, if you could say something with one word and you don't say it with 10, you haven't done your job. Which I would respond with, brevity is the soul of wit.
Right. And maybe that's why your dad hit you so much. Oh, that's me. That's a low blow.
Wow. Yeah. Because he wanted him to be president, Tim. Oh, God. CJ pops out to tell the president that some guy from the medical board and this Norton fellow is
the swing vote on this medical commission that's going to decide Abby's punishment is going to recuse himself for the very extremely justifiable reason that he's known her. They worked together for 20 years, and Bartlett appointed him to the commission.
To which Bartlett was like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call him and try to twist his arm into not recusing himself anyways.
Oh, but yeah, how's that gonna fucking work, dude? Like, it's oh my god. But yeah, long story short, Abby's gonna have her license suspended for a year. Abby then gives Josh a list of women's names that she wants on the campaign staff, citing the exact statistic that Amy was telling him earlier about, if you're gonna have 60% of women voting for you in this country, you should
you're
probably have
40% of your staff. Yeah.
It's at least 40%. No, it's just asking 40% of the staff to just ask if they're just even qualified. To which I would want to take a look at statistics at this time to be like, well, how often are women in this field, which is an interesting thing to look at too. But yeah, they should be way more involved in that, and it's a reasonable ask. To which Josh gets all offended because Amy went over her head to the first lady, and what the fuck ever. And then we get to the little comment of you can't get over my head like this, and I can't be sexist when you're why can't I be sexist when your skin feels so good and your womanly charm is here? Where it's and I've definitely used that that little thing before of talk, get out of the subject by talking about the womanly charm of the woman that you're with right there, and jump out of that. But I think Amy's a little too smart for that type of thing. CJ then tells Abby about the Nolan news, to which Abby has the most American my favorite, the folksy response they should put on the campaign ad. Let's get drunk. So
yes, honestly, that would do a lot to make Abby more likable.
I think it would too. I think honestly, if the Biden campaign just started campaigning like that, they would be more popular.
Show us drunk Joe Biden.
Or if Joe Biden's just hey, we're sending $200 billion to Israel and Ukraine, but Carla Rossi, because fuck it, you can just take that whole thing down. Who cares? Even what is this anyway? Life. Josh confronts Amy in her craftiness and is sexist. Sam meets again with the professor to ask for a better, how he can better explain the super collider. And to which the professor is well, there's no practicality to it. It's very hard to explain without sounding like an idiot. And there's a very serious deadline I have for even getting this off the ground. And I have lymphoma. I'm a mess. I am a mess. Then we get to Toby and Marbury discussing Sinn Féin at the bar. And I think the next thing I wrote down that I was just questioning, because Marbury brings up, it's well, no, this is a terrorist group. This is a terrorist cell that put car bombs and killed Irish kids, killed British soldiers. It's all this stuff. When does the U.S. go off and arm terrorists? And I'm never. The U.S. would never do something.
No, never. No, not Afghanistan in the 80s.
Never. Why would they do? Why? Those are freedom fighters. Those are freedom fighters, guys. Okay. And any of those guys, any of those theater kids in Palestine or any of this calling themselves this funny little name, those guys aren't freedom fighters. Where let's say, but the Israeli, the IDF, they are fighting for freedom completely. Yes. They need that white phosphorus for freedom. All right, and discuss then they start naming off Irish writers to one up each other. I was kind of half watching this part because I was just they
exchange quotes from Irish writers, and then they get and then they're speaking of our dead Irish writers, let's get hammered.
Right. Well, that was the whole point of their thing, is just to get hammered and not find any conclusions.
The entire point was just to get hammered, because they later reveal, and we can just skip this scene when it comes back.
Yep.
They later reveal that Lord Marbury knows they're going to meet with this guy.
Yeah.
And he agrees that it's good to meet with this guy, but Queen Elizabeth, the British government, as a matter of official policy, has to protest the White House meeting with this guy.
Yes.
So this entire thing is just about them getting drunk at this bar.
Yes. And vaguely discussing these things. Yeah. And that's it. He knows in general, it's to have peace, you need to have talks.
Yeah.
That's it.
The entire thing is, this guy used to do some terrorism. And they're like, yeah, but he's not anymore,
Well,
right?
he wasn't even doing terrorism, Tim. He was like he was like the political wing of like, hey, like I don't do any terrorism, but it's like I'm the politician end of I'm the politician end that's like supposed to be the other hand, like the person with the ballot box. And then the other side is the gun. But that's also like this is a time too where it's like you didn't really have like full voting rights. And when you can't vote, how do you change your shit? How do you change the place you live?
That's always a pressing question, isn't it?
Anyway, we get Abby, CJ, and Amy getting tipsy in some upper deck room and talking shit. Donna arrives too and tells them about her INS troubles, to which they're like, come get drunk with us, girl. And they all get lit up. Amy then drunkenly asks, I mean, she does it for her future book. She asks Abby,
I love it. She's like, I'm looking for something to write stuff down with. Yeah.
You think I'm not going to drunk with the first lady? Yeah, right.
I want to write a book someday. Yeah.
But Amy asks her about if the suspension is going to be a big deal, like to lose the medical license for a year is a big deal.
And Abby is being kind of a whiny brat.
Yes. Like she's completely ignoring like all of the power and influence she has as the first lady in itself. Like where it's kind of like, yeah, you can kind of retire from your career if you really want to.
Yeah. She's not like a practicing doctor at this point. She's the fucking first lady.
No. But Amy literally lists off all of these accomplishments that like she got done politically without ever having to have gained office.
Medicare coverage for mammograms, like that.
Oh my god! Yeah. Like she's doing more than the fucking Senate is. Than all Congress. Like,
I think she's kind of blowing smoke up her ass too. I don't buy these actual accomplishments, but that's a conversation for.
Well, I mean, if they all actually got done, that'd be a different thing.
Yeah.
The president and Charlie are still outside talking about the toast. He has like a bad ditch digger story where he talks about where it's like, hey, you see that guy over there digging a ditch? It's like I could have ended up like that, and to which Abby replies like, well, if I married that ditch digger, then he would be president instead. And Charlie says, oh, that sounds like a story about like how cool you are, which I didn't understand because
I don't understand that either. I don't
because it sounds like it's like, well, no, Abby, that's a joke where Abby's the kingmaker. But yeah, whatever. Marbury, yes, and then Marbury and Toby talk about their thing. They talk about. I wrote down the original sin of America and England, and which is funny is that like Toby lists off like, oh yeah, our slavery was it. To which Marbury's like, well, Native Americans, that's pretty bad. And then Marbury thinks that like England's is Ireland, and I think that. I think there's many countries that would beg to differ with that.
Well, I mean, I had that thought too of like, India and Africa would beg to differ, China would beg to differ, but Ireland did come first.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. They were there for because like early on in the colonial game, England was playing catch up to Spain, and all they really had, the only colony they had was Ireland.
Yeah, exactly, and that goes, the British have been trying to conquer Ireland
since Cromwell. Since Cromwell.
I mean, since before that, really.
Yeah. But it's all that too, and it's all very complicated because it still is a land where there's been a lot of human progress, along with all of these destructive and terrible things inflicted upon innocent people. The Simon professor talk about FDR smoking and like how popular he is, and it's like that's right, guys. We need a president with emphysema. Tim, it's time for you. When Sam Seaborn runs for president, you're gonna have to be the guy that defeats him.
Oh, I'll be there for sure.
You're gonna have to be that you're gonna have to be that educated everyman.
Oh, do you want some fucking nerd, or you want a cool guy who smokes?
Right.
Come on, America.
Keep the beard. Senator comes in after receiving a passive aggressive note threat, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, Sam threatens. Yeah, I mean, it kind of works. Whatever.
It got him to walk in.
That's all meaningless. It got him to walk in. He agrees to lift his hold, but they all know that it's not actually going to move forward. So whatever.
Yeah, to which there's this little line the professor has about like, well, great achievement has no roadmap. This is about discovery. You don't really know what you're going to discover here. It's like hopefully so we can get these things. Like, we didn't know what with penicillin when it was created. We didn't know we weren't trying to make penicillin. We didn't know what the purpose of this stuff was. We just discovered these things. Like these things tend to be accidental.
Yeah, which is fair.
That is fair. That is fair.
But this thing isn't going to get built anyways, so
no,
fuck it.
No, well, yeah. The senator says the senator said he'd withdraw his anonymous hold, but it's going to get killed in the Congress anyway.
Yeah.
Josh forgives Amy like a jackass.
Yeah, he walks up and whispers, "I forgive you." She calls him a jackass, and then did we mention how Donna was the one who really laid down the fire on the first lady?
Oh yeah, I didn't mention that.
Yeah, that was the end of that scene was Donna laying down the line of like, "Oh, for God's sakes, Mrs. Bartlett, you were also a doctor when your husband said, 'Give me drugs and don't tell anyone,' and you said sure."
Right.
Which is pretty funny and pretty fair.
Well, yeah, it's just true.
She did do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's during that whole little scene of are you the first lady or are you just Amy? Like, how can we which one are we doing with you right now? Annoying as fuck. Yeah, Donna comes in and she's an American again with just filling out some paperwork. To which then we have the fanfare played of "Oh Canada" and like full band regalia.
Yeah, so the entire end of this episode plays with "Oh Canada" going on in the background.
Right. While this is happening, Abby tells the president that she's going to be forfeiting her license until the presidency is up.
Yes.
Which, year to 5 years. President tells her that he loves her. And then finally everyone tells her happy birthday.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And pretty much kind of an inconsequential episode ultimately. But it wraps up the Abby stuff, and I thought the Irish writers, the Irish politics angle would pique your interest.
It did a bit. It's just that it's just still from such a perspective. I mean, I think it is just from the perspective of like right after the Good Friday Agreement of just like remembering, because that was also like a big, that was seen as like a big like part.
Yeah, and that was what 98.
Yeah,
Good Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like
3 years after that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is relatively recent, and but is what I mean. But yeah, it's the way it's written. It's the way these episodes are written right now, where it's like it's kind of non-conflicts. Like it makes me think of the first season of The Next Generation in Star Trek, where these writers are kind of like tearing their hair out with Gene Roddenberry because they're like, hey, I understand that like this is like a perfect futuristic society, but we need to create conflicts that like that people can relate to. And it doesn't make sense when there's like not issues like prejudice.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had that whole thing of like the Toby and the president fighting. But yes, you're right. There is a very like anticlimax kind of baked into the show.
Yeah, like Sam's little issue with the super collider. Like sometimes it does kind of feel like they just want to have statistics on certain things, or just know that they like want to have this be like last one. Like I'm going to consider that last one to be the chess episode. Like that is the Taiwan chess episode.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the poker one though. Know when to hold them. Know when to fold. I hope Charlie takes the pot. That's what I'm hoping. Charlie just like wins the pot and like just quits and doesn't work. Yeah, doesn't have to work for these assholes.
What was I to say? Oh my god.
You gotta count your money.
No, it's gone. Whatever I was about to say, it's gone.
When you at the table. Well, what 2 episodes we watching next week? We just keep on going down the rat of them. I mean, we're starting to reach a I mean, we're definitely past the halfway point.
Yes, let me take a look here. Let's see here.
God, count your money when you're at the table and you're playing chess with human beings' lives.
Let's see here. I
Bartlett
think
is the king.
we can skip episode 16.
Skip at 16.
I think we could skip 17 too, actually. So let's do
17.
Let's do episode 18, enemies foreign and domestic, and then episode 19, the Black Fairway.
18, 19. All right. All right, folks. Well, I guess that's all for us right now, but I guess until next time, keep
our homework.
Back on my feet.